Good morning, YouTube. This is Zioku here, reading the patch notes so you don't have to. First, we're going to go over the Awakener overview for the new Awakener Zoo. Shu? I think it's Shu. Sorry. She's going to be a Caro unit support. Well, let's go over her kit real quick. Attributes: Con 203 attack, which is one of the highest, if not the highest in the game if these are level 60 stats. Attack 122, defense 113. When you get her lightens, she gains damage amplification and death resistance. A few of her abilities seem to scale. I think one of her talents off of damage amp, so more damage amp is great. Her talent here: all Awakeners poison trigger effects plus 5% to 25%. So her talent just automatically more poison trigger. Each stack is spellbound, additionally reduces the damage dealt by humanoid enemies by 1%. And when spellbound is removed, each stack deals fixed damage equal to 1% of max HP on humanoid enemies. You can stack 5 spellbound by default, so that's 5% damage. E3, you can stack 10 stacks of spellbound, which would be 10% of max HP. State: spellbound for each stack, fixed poison taken plus 5%, damage dealt minus 1%, stacks up to 5 times. So this damage dealt is how much damage the enemy deals. So if you have 10 spellbound on the enemy deals 10% less damage. So that's pretty good damage mitigation. Her skills: first we'll go over her Exalt. Vow in the Night Mist, Devour. Temporarily reduce all enemy strength by 46. Gain 3 Arithmetica. Inflict 196 stacks of poison on all enemies. Choose between Betroth or Enthrall. Betroth inflicts 2 stacks of spellbound on all enemies. Enthrall: remove all enemy spellbound. For each stack remove, deal fixed damage equal to 1% of the target's max HP and trigger 40% poison. So if you're slightly confused, like, hey, that sounds familiar to the talent, what's going on? The talent just gives you an additional bonus if you're facing a humanoid enemy. So humanoid enemies, she can do a max of 20% max HP with her Exalt. Rouse, Lady of Dreamless Land. Shu gains 50 Aliamus. Rouse, once per turn, the first time each type of Shu's command card triggers Renaissance, its Arithmetica cost is reduced to 0. Retain. So, for those confused for Resonance, what that is other Awakeners need to play X amount of cards. In Shu's case, it's always 3. And then you get an additional bonus if you play her command card. If you rouse, that means if you play 3 command cards, let's say you play 3 Tywil command cards, then Shu's next command card will be free. So 1, 2, 3 free card. 1, 2, 3 free card. So if you have a team with a lot of lower cost cards, you can play, 1 or 2 Shu cards for free, which is pretty good. Her 3 cost: Bone Sick Longing, deal 366 damage to all enemies, guaranteed crit, and trigger 80% poison. Retain. Resonance 3, Embryo Fusion plus 50%. Resonance X, triggering the following effect if this card is preceded by command cards from other Awakeners this turn. Resonance count is reset after this Awakener's command card is played at turn end. So that's just explaining the resonance effect. Her 2 costs, Fan Sealed Kiss, inflict 98 stacks of poison on all enemies, temporarily reducing their strength by 34%. Resonance 3, inflict 1 stack of Spellbound on all enemies. So this is the second way to get Spellbound stacks. The first way was her Exalt. So you have to play 3 cards, then you play this card, and they get 1 stack of Spellbound. Another thing to note with the 3 cost here is it doesn't apply poison at all. It triggers poison, but the damage, 366 damage that crits, it doesn't, put poison on the enemy, which would have been nice. Her strike, deal 25 damage, Shu gets 10 alien miss. Defense, obtain 23 shields, Shu gains 10 alien miss. At base, her strike and defense, not that great, but with one of her Enlightens, these probably become her most powerful cards, depending on how you're playing her. If you're playing her as a generic support, they become her more powerful cards. If you're playing her as a poison support, they're just good cards. Let's go over her Enlightens now. Enmity of the Heart. Bonesick Longing, her 3 cost. Embryo Fusion plus 15%. For every 1% of damage amplification that Shu, her Wheel of Destiny, and Covenants have, the Embryo Fusion gained from this effect plus 0.2%. When I mentioned earlier that the damage amplification from her Enlightens is good because of damage amp scaling, this is what I was talking about. It's her E1, not her talent. Fan and Scythe. Strike and defense. Gain Resonance 3. Additionally, gain 15 alien miss. So what this does for her support version is after you rouse, you play 3 cards, your strike and defense will be free, and they gain 25 alien miss. For a generic support build, you want to be exalting with her for that 3 Arithmetica. So the more alien miss you get on her, the more Arithmetica you get, the better you get. In my opinion, this is the best stopping point for Shu for a generic support, unless you're really going for a poison team. Her E3, max Spellbound stacks increase from 5 to 10. Mistbound Vow doubles the resonance effect for Zhu's next command card. Mistbound Vow. I'm not sure. I'm thinking that Mistbound Vow might be a translation error, and it could be Vow in the Night Mist. They're very similarly worded. So after you exalt, the next resonance effect is doubled, which seems pretty good if you're using her as an exalt bot, then getting an extra 15 alien miss. So it wouldn't go from being 25 to 50, it would be going from 25 to 40, which 40 alien miss right after you exalt, not bad, almost as like using a rouse for free. That is her E3, so this is actually better than I thought, but still not necessarily something you need to really push for if you're just using her as a generic support. Karmic Grave, Embryo Fusion plus 100%. When choosing Betrothed. Additionally, inflict 3 stacks of Spellbound. When choosing Enthrall, accumulate 31 points of Crimson Furnace for each stack of Spellbound removed. The reason why I said her E3 isn't that good is getting 10 stacks of Spellbound, you need to Exalt 5 times, or some combination of less than 5 Exalts and some combination of playing her 2 cost in order to get 10 stacks of Spellbound. Realistically, that's going to take, if you're just counting the Exalt, 5 turns. And so it's really not worth it to try to aim for that. But if you have her over Exalt, that is 5 stacks of Spellbound right there. Then you use this, that's 6. You Exalt maybe one more time normally, 7, 8, and you play this again, 9. So you can get to 9-ish, 10 stacks of Spellbound relatively quickly if you have her over Exalt. If you don't OE, I would still stop at E2. If you do over Exalt, this effect is more useful to you. Her kit here, from what I'm looking at it, one, she has a high con. I have a little list here I'm trying to bring up. High con, good embryo generation, and embryo generation means you can feed the embryos to any awakener to help their alieness. She has good alieness generation from her wheels. We'll go over her SSR wheel next, and then her SR wheel when we go into the patch notes. Percent health damage, it's not going to be a lot, but she's a support, so she really shouldn't be, chunking the boss for 30% of their max health, but every little bit helps. 3 free Arithmetica with her Exalt, that's decent, and she has some damage mitigation. She has some strength down in some of her effects. Command 2, her Exalt, Spellbound, whenever she stacks Spellbound, that's damage mitigation. And then, on top of all that, as a generic support, she also has Poison Synergy, which is really nice. Let's go over the wheel next. Vain Regrets. I do like the design of this wheel. The eyes there, really good design. Attributes is Damage Amp. Again, that's going to help with her E1 effect. The fixed poison and poison trigger effect caused by the wielder is increased by X amount. Caro Realm automatic embryo fusion also increased. Great. When the wielder first triggers resonance, each turn other awakeners gain 4, 6, 8, 10 alieness. So at E3, other awakeners gain 10 alieness the first time you trigger, the 5th time you trigger resonance, which that is definitely not insignificant if you can get that every turn. 10 alieness, 10 alieness, 10 alieness. Her SR, which we'll go over in a second, gives that effect to herself. So your full team gets 10 alieness every resonance, basically giving your full team 40 alieness just from your wheels. Not each individually, but you're getting 40 alieness because 10, 10, 10, 10. That is very powerful. And then she already has the capabilities of giving herself, 25 at E3, 40, then you resonance, that's 50 alieness she can get right after exalting. So you exalt, you play one of her strikes or defense after resonance, of course. And then you get 50 alieness right there. That is a lot of alieness, a lot of easy access to exalt. So you should be exalting her close to once per turn. If you have another unit to help battery a little bit, people think about running her with G-Doll, then you will be exalting that once per turn, especially with covenants and whatnot. Let's go over the patch notes. I don't want to butcher this, so I won't. So this is update 2.4.2. Character event for Shu. Limited time awakening event. It starts on the 26th, 3 days from now, and it ends February 23rd. You get a bonus if you have Shu, her wheel, and her SSR wheel. Gameplay event. This is this is her personal event. 800 silver, 6 luminous cores, 6 pure cores, 255 shards, 45 dream sparks, limited avatar by the Silver Key Shu. Her SR, Magnolia's Lure, 70 dream shards, 180 Mimetech crystals, 1,000 faces seals, unlimited, rose scripts unlimited, so you can farm these. Let's go over her SR wheel. Damage amp, of course. Effect, the fixed poison and poison trigger effect caused by the wielder is increased. The wielder gains 4, 6, 8, 10 Alimus the first time they trigger resonance each turn. So this is, the first part is the same as the SSR wheel, just weaker. Second part has that Alimus for herself. I think as a support, I mean, even as a poison DPS, I think her SSR and her SR are perfect for her. There's not a lot of Awakeners who their two best wheels are both their personal wheels. I think Shu is one of those rare instances where you want both of her personal wheels, which is pretty interesting. Psyche Deep Dive, Whisper Behind the Fan. This is the special event to get her posse. The street lamps flicker on as the city falls into desolation. Look now. Gaze into those exquisite eyes. Then submit with grace, crawl with grace. Step meekly into that lingering night haze. New posse, Manor Echoes. Gain 1 Arithmetica and temporarily reduce all enemy strength by 32. Shu inflicts 1 stack of Spellbound on all enemies. This posse is interesting because Shu is a support for poison support. Generally, the posse, when you are playing a comp, your posse is focused on whatever the DPS wants to do. So if your DPS, for example, is Mouchette, you're going to run Mouchette's posse because you want to enhance what she's doing. There isn't really a great poison support currently. There are hopes the next Caro Awakener, Caribou, might be a poison DPS, or the next Ultra Awakener that we know of, Arachne, might be a Ultra Poison DPS. But currently there's not really a good poison Awakener DPS, and so the posse, this does have potential. Getting a stack of Spellbound is nice. It's only a 1% damage reduction per posse, but it's not bad. So we shall see if this gets played with Shu. I'm thinking that the draw 2 plus 2 Arithmetica posse is going to be better for poison, but we shall see. Festival of Tides. School activity issue 28. Cumulative login reward 10 luminous cores. So log in every day for a week. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4 the first few days, and then it's like 2, then 3 the last couple of days. Premium topic rewards. Some cute little avatars here. Trap phase seasonal rewards. G-Doll, Ogier, Clem, and the Rat. Jenkins. I do kind of like Jenkins with the glasses on. Pretty cute. Alright, this is going to be interesting. Awakener Enhancement Absolute Axiom. The spiritual pilgrimage reaches its ultimate destination. Here, the boundary between the self and the external world dissolves, and the absolute axioms of the universe are finally revealed. The following Awakeners will automatically gain the absolute axiom effect at Psyche Surge plus 12. So at Enlighten the general community called it Enlightens. At Enlighten plus 12, so maxed out, you can't get any more copies. They then get the following effect on their rouses. Ramona Base, Sublime Tempering, Rouse. First Doctrine is enhanced. Each activation increases Ramona's base damage by an additional 10%. So every time you, with her Rouse, the first 3 cards you play refunds 1 Arithmetica. It will then also, the first 3 cards Ramona plays, increases her base damage by 10%. I think that actually might be a lot. After, 4 or 5 turns, getting 5 turns times 30, 150% base damage seems decent. Infinite Singularity. The limit on activations per turn is removed. This used to be only 3. The first 3 cards you play get her special I don't remember what it's called. Negentropy. It only used to only trigger 3 times per turn, but now it will trigger 4 times per turn. This one is really good. Deathless Loyalty. If death resistance has been triggered this battle, Ogier's Exalt generates 3 times the temporary strength instead. So if you have Ogier plus 12, and let's say you're going to max him out, you've been playing for a while, you like his playstyle, he's at level 90, this can potentially generate you over 1,000 strength when you Exalt. That is definitely not bad. I think this could pair well with Mouchette, but it really could pair well with anybody, but Mouchette wants to trigger death resistance, so getting that insane strength bonus would be really nice. Doll's Ego Reconstructed. Doll's strike and defense now also generate shield. Well, her defense already generated shield, but it will now generate more shield. I guess depending on the numbers, it doesn't have numbers here. Everything else sort of has numbers, so I don't know why this doesn't. It could give Doll a new use. I know a lot of members of the community like Doll. She heals quite a good amount when you have her plus 12, and a little bit invested in her Soul Forge. So, not bad. Primal Leviathan. After Lotan plays defense, the next Blade of Defiance played this turn activates twice. Another not bad. A lot of players do play Lotan as a offensive unit, but I think it's mainly for that Overexalt max HP damage and not necessarily for her strikes and her Blade of Defiance. So we shall see if this does create a new Lotan playstyle, but I am a little doubtful that it will. Erica, Final Decree. The strength and alert bonuses enjoyed by Exalt are further increased by 100% each time it is used. Seems pretty good. I believe Erica is decent at Overexalt. I haven't personally used her. I do have her at Overexalt, but at plus 12, I think she actually deals good damage from what I'm understanding. Good damage and is a pretty useful Awakener. If you're an Erica fan, great for you. Orita. I know a lot of people love Orita. Sparkling Friendship. Orita's Strike deals pierce damage and triggers 2 additional instances of damage. This is really good for Orita DPS. I know that at Overexalt, she is ran as the main DPS for some comps, and she deals a lot of damage. Specifically, she deals a lot of tentacle damage in red stance. This just helps that tentacle damage in red stance because it's 3 instances of damage for her strike. So that's 3 instances of the tentacles attacking. It being pierced doesn't really matter, I guess. Great. It goes through shields. Good little tiny little boost for a plus 12 Orita. Crystallized Tear. This is for Aegis. Her Exalt, Eye of Eternity, causes the next defense played by Aegis to trigger 3 times. This makes absolutely no sense, because after you Exalt, Eye of Eternity, normally you're stunning the enemy. Like, you don't just Aegis Exalt for funsies, unless it's over Exalt, and then you're using it for the damage boost. But normally, you only Aegis Exalt that very first time to stun the enemies. If the enemies are stunned, why do you need your defense triggered 3 times? So, I just want to confirm that besides like the Vuln application, I don't think Aegis Exalt really does anything else. So this is a stun. Deal a little bit of damage, who cares? Apply 2 turns of vulnerability. Each release increases the... Yeah, it doesn't really do anything that you would want to use this outside of the stun. It doesn't do good damage. The vulnerability is nice, but she applies so much vuln most of the time it's not needed. So I don't get this. She's probably has it the worst out of everybody, because this is just absolutely useless, unless by triggering 3 times, it does get the Alien Mist generation 3 times. So what if you had this max? That's 40 Alien Mists. 40 Alien Mists for free is not terrible. So you can try to get that Overexalt quicker. But yeah, I don't see that being that good. It might be better in the mob stage. So when you're fighting up to the boss, a lot of times you'll exalt the little mobs just to not take a bunch of damage and to recharge that back up for the next fight or the fight after that. But yeah, I don't see that being great. All in all, my thoughts on this, as long as it stays to the welfare units, which are all these welfare units, anybody can get them plus 12 eventually, or standard units, because you can get plus 12 standard units with pyramids pretty easily. I don't think this is bad necessarily. I do believe in the bottom of my heart that Morimens will add this to limited awakeners eventually, and I don't think that is good and healthy for the game. But I think it will help players spend more, which is what they're looking for. So we shall see the benefits and negatives of this eventually. On to the next bit of the patch notes here. quality of life updates. Normally, a lot of their quality of life stuff is really good. Archive. New entries and rewards. The archive now features Wheel of Destiny and Covenant entries. Unlock the full collection to claim up to 1,200 silver. If you have, as a longtime player, a new player probably wouldn't, but as a longtime player, if you have all the wheels and all the covenants, you just got 1,200 for free. If you are a newer player, every time you collect Wheel of Destinies and covenants, you get more silver, so not bad. Horizontal art preview. Mobile users can now rotate their devices to enjoy high-definition horizontal views of Awakener character art and Wheel of Destiny illustrations within the detail interface. Cool. Team and support optimization. The Covenant interface now provides an intuitive display of transcription strength for each attribute. Additionally, the Select Support menu now offers more sorting options for faster navigation. Cool. I think what they did for the anniversary support menu is already perfect. It doesn't get much better, in my opinion, than being able to filter Awakeners. Like, this was a phenomenal change. Let's say I want to use a max out Mouchette. I can go here. I can do cancel all and just pick Mouchette. This won't affect the other ones that I have selected for the other realms. It would just cancel all for Chaos. Bam. Now I only get Mouchette. I guess if you wanted a Mouchette with the specific... Like, it already shows the best ones at the top of the list. I'm not sure what other sorting you really want. I know a lot of people like to play with E3, but if you just scroll down to the bottom of your list, you'll find an E3 probably. So, yeah, quality of life is always nice. Nice stuff. Version update supplies. Silver times 200, pure core times 5. Nice, great. The event interface is for reference only. The actual display will be based on what is shown in game. And that is the event. Well, thank you for listening, and I hope you had a great day. For me, it's the morning. But if you're watching this at night, hopefully your whole day was great. If it's the morning for you as well, hopefully the rest of your day goes great. Have a good weekend. Enjoy some Morimens. We'll see you on Sunday. Peace.